we go. Whew. Hopefully
the stream is live. It says the stream
is
live.
Yes, now we're actually streaming to something. Before we were, if anyone logged on to StreamYard, because that's where everyone goes for their live content is to StreamYard. No one watches YouTube anymore. It's all StreamYard.com.
Oh, the kids and their newfangled stuff.
Okay. I still want to see it. I still actually want to see us here on the YouTube. Hi, everyone. Sorry if you're actually listening to us live. I just don't believe that we're actually live. And we should be. There we go. Okay. It's for real. All right. Welcome, Wheel of Time Knots. We are your true source, the purest light, your companion cast, the warders, if you will, for this journey through all things Wheel of Time. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent, i.e. We Mixed It and Sounds Awesome, respectively. I will be your pod mistress.
And I will be your... Dang it, I had one, and I'm just... You know what? I'm not going to lie, family. I've started a little early tonight. On the mead, if you will. So what I was going to say is... I will be your... I've got nothing Sedai right now. I had one, didn't write it down. The ADHD, or as I like to call it, the udda-hudda, prevented me from doing so. So let's just start there. We're going to talk about, is it Beyond the Stone, correct?
The Shadow Rising, Chapter 23, Beyond the Stone. Beyond the Stone.
Because I listened to half the stone and went, we talked about this last week.
Oh, did you? Oh, man.
Well, it's not, and like, I'm not that big. Like, okay, first of all, I was saying, like, I do have a bit of a tick. It's a snort. It's a sniff. I got to drink my soda when Desmond's talking. So I'm trying really hard to curb it. I'm sure it's probably annoying. That being said, I've read and listened to these books so many times. I sort of be like, wait, what part were we talking about? So I had to like go back and be like, okay, yeah, no, we talked about that last week. You already, so I listened to that chapter again, got some great nuance. And then now we're Beyond the Stone, sir.
I listened to this chapter last week when I went on my road trip. I listened to a couple chapters, and then I listened to this again yesterday and was like, I have no idea. So I listened to it today and I got most of it, but thankfully, let me just send a shout out to the Wheel of Time
fandom
community
and the Wikipedia, whatever.
If it was not for your Cliff Notes, and it's so weird that I think part of the thing that gets me lost too is that since we've just been spoiler free on this, like you and Jeremy haven't been trying, like it's just too hard to keep me in the dark and have an interesting conversation. So this is one of those chapters where I'm like, I kind of knew this, but it's still weird hearing it finally when you're supposed to.
It's hard because I know you well enough to where, like, if I want to keep you interested, I kind of have to spoil some stuff. And yeah, I'm a little bit that same way, especially if something that's like someone who knows me as well as you is like, look, if you could just pay attention to the crux of the story, I know you'll love it. The rest of the extraneous shit is a fucking lot. I get it.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. It's kind of like, look, just let me hit the Cliff Notes so I can keep you interested, and that way you can at least kind of know the story I love, right?
Yeah. And this was like, because it's one of those weird chapters because, and I feel like we've said this a lot, like we're in this weird phase of book 3 where like still nothing really book 4 still, which makes sense because it was going to be a trilogy, and then he's like, well, let's start stretching this out, and this is when he's like, okay, right, kids, I got a 10 book deal. Here's
the stuff, all the shit I wanted to leave out.
comfortable.
And that I'm gonna write this book with all the shit I was afraid to
So
put in.
this is a chapter where if you were telling if you were going to give not even the elevator pitch, if you were going to give the 2-hour synopsis of these books, you'd skip this chapter.
Elevator pitch. I like that.
Yeah. Justin, you do not want to be trapped in an elevator with Justin because he will put his finger on the door closed button and keep going.
I'll just hit the emergency stop and be like, "You're gonna listen now."
No, you
could have listened in your office. You chose not to. Now we're stuck in the elevator, bitch. Let's go.
And I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm a psychopath. Hey, that's debatable.
Well, I would never lie about you being a psychopath. Usually I have the Wheel of Time playing in the background just to keep me focused and like all that stuff. I don't watch it. I'm not even gonna lie. Right now in the background, I have the Blu-ray extended version of Mallrats playing, and I'm not even sorry.
Fuck yeah, you shouldn't be sorry. Why would you ever be sorry for that? The customer is always an asshole. First of all, they call me Fatty the Boom Batty. Nobody calls me that.
Nobody calls him that.
Nobody calls me that. They call me Pop Pop.
She means sex. I know what she meant.
I know what she meant. Hartford, the whale. I just love this. I know, like, I'm like, if you want to quit doing this and just start doing MRU, like, I'm cool with that. I just want to hang out with you once a week and make jokes because I don't give a fuck if anybody listens. I have a great time.
I just want a little part. We can have one listener. I just want them to write in and say, "Hey, this is what I was thinking." So anyone out there, tell us.
Jeremy, can you please catfish us? For fuck's sake, dude. God, I've been trying to get some of my workmates and been trying to tell some of the older ladies that hit on me, hey, listen to the show. It's great.
It's funny watching this, like, we've seen this movie so many times, like, because sometimes it's not even a new scene. It's just an alternate take. And I'm just like, that's not the right cadence for that line.
Oh, Ben Affleck fucked that up.
Like, oh, no, he's supposed to say that louder or faster or slower. It reminds me of, I've seen Friends so fucking much. When I watch it in syndication,
you know what they cut out?
I know what jokes they cut out to make time.
That's funny.
I'm like, nope, there's supposed to be another tag. There's supposed to be another. And it sucks that that's the version on HBO now. Like, that's the HD version was cut for new time. And it's like, no,
you're cutting out. Dude, I'm glad that I've never watched like any show that I've really loved like that. Like, I'm trying to think of something that I love. Like, I love Scrubs. Like, I love Scrubs.
Yeah.
I love Parks and Rec. Like, some people love Friends. Like, I can watch most of those episodes and definitely certain episodes like over and over and over and over again. Scrubs is not holding up in the parlance of our times as much.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of like, just Dr. Cox, making fun of JD for being feminine and gay jokes and stuff. And they're not bad. And they even like kind of like work their way around them by saying like, I don't care. I'm just doing it because I know it bothers you.
I'm just saying you're feminine.
It's like, there's something like he's like winking at Dr. Kelso when he's like, save it for the bathhouse of sport.
Like 30 Rock, I don't know how much more shelf life 30 Rock has.
Dude, 30 Rock is one of those ones that are like, most of the time, like, like 70% of that show, you're like, great. And then Donaghy says something, or Kenneth, and you're like, or like the one writer cat, the bald guy, I can't remember his, Pete, is that his name?
Yeah.
He'll break out some shit and you're like, I don't think you can say that anymore. I think you guys got sued for that. Exactly.
I mean, Tina Fey got 2 episodes taken down for good. She got the 2 blackface. I mean, I think other people would have taken it down either.
That's right. Jenna was in blackface.
There's 2,
God.
And John Hamm was in blackface.
No.
Yeah. And they're not.
Oh my God.
And it's it's
that
one of those
fucking priceless. But I
the one with Jenna too. The whole point of that was making fun of blackface. So I'm kind of surprised that one didn't stay on, just because it's like They knew what
It
they
was like
were
a big deal because she
doing.
had done one like way back in the day in like Canada or something, right? Like
Well,
something
and
like that.
I think Tracy does whiteface in that episode too. So I think like everyone got their licks in, but they were still just like, nah.
Oh, racism is hilarious.
Because
I'll
because
tell you,
the
one of the most racist stuff that's ever been done on like film or digitally recorded is Dave Chappelle, and some of that shit will never like be there. You will never find funnier shit than that. I still quote it like all the time to this day, and some of it's just so fucking funny. Like when they're in the house and Tyrese is talking to the white guy. That is every like nerdy white dude's biggest fear of black men. Like obviously you or I, we've like been around every single race and every credence. We don't give a shit. Like I know that about you. You know that about me. But for those, and you know who we're talking about, they're just like the butthole couldn't be tighter for those kind of things. And it makes me laugh so hard.
Well, like you've heard Chappelle tell his story about it before he disappeared for 10 years. Like he was doing a skit and a white guy was laughing way too hard for the wrong reasons. He's like,
yeah, he's like,
okay, like, you know, maybe I'm not. Maybe this isn't the commentary I thought it was.
No, it is. It's just some people are fucking idiots. So,
speaking of racist, what about these Aiel taking over? You know what I'm saying?
There are a bunch of ginger light-eyed fucks. Just saying.
You're in a clan. I get it. No, I get it.
Oh, you guys have blue eyes and blonde hair and like red hair. Oh, we get it.
Yeah.
Cool. Aiel, Aryan. Just saying. Furman, German. Just saying. There's a Chappelle line right there.
So we pick up
Furman, German. Sounds racist. Aiel sounds racist.
It sounds when you say it sounds racist. When I say it, it's fine. But when you say it, when you tell me to pull up my veil, it's coming off.
I have dark hair and darker eyes, everyone, just for the record.
I'm a gray-haired white man, so I have no reason to talk about this at all.
My favorite thing is to try to like just bring up with my family, like, so we're native, yeah? That's cool. I got the DNA thing. It says we're Portuguese, Italian, and like Spanish. And it says we're, you remember in school when you had that like less than or greater than little alligator thing? Yeah. Ours says less than 1%. So give back your fucking tribal card, Dad. Oh, sorry, that's enough. All right, that's enough. Enough.
Whoa, happy Thanksgiving. Oh, Justin's laptop just shorted out because he snorted. He snorted Bushmills
you know what's
all
fun?
over it.
Snort. You know what's fun to snort? Not cocaine, Buffalo Trace. It will clear your sinuses right out. Delicious. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. In the last couple of days, I have caught myself saying a nice holiday to at least 4 Native people. Great.
Yep.
How about let's not do that, white guy?
Let's. Like, hey.
So I have no problem with that. Like like that kind of stuff. Like I don't care. Like I will say sorry immediately. I will eat the biggest pile of shit. I fucked up this nice young lady's pronouns the other day, and I was like, did I mess up your pronouns? And they were like, kind of. And I was like, I'm very sorry. I will try not to do that again. Boom. There's a lesson, people. That's all you got to do is just give a shit a little bit.
You know what tastes worse than eating shit? Eating shit that festers for a month. Fresh shit? Fresh shit? Fine.
When you're an asshole, I feel like you eat your own asshole, and your own asshole tastes worse than eating someone else's shit.
That's
for
true.
The right reasons. Let's just say that.
It's
all right, let's get into this.
I love to talk about this. I love the smell of my own farts, but I hate eating my ass. Is that weird? Is that ironic?
I mean, there's not enough showers to get the taste out of it. You've seen Bad Words, right? Get back there. That's right. Don't look at me. Like you've seen Bad Words, right?
Oh, Bad Words. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
For someone who is absolutely a slut for Jason Bateman, I was like, you better have watched that one. So I can see why people get a little upset about it. Some of the shit he says to that like 8-year-old Indian kid's pretty rough.
Dude, he's fucking terrible.
What's going on, Slummy? You look like you got in the wrong guy's asshole. And he's like, whatever. You're like, you have no idea what he's actually saying.
No idea.
It hurts my
So
heart.
we pick up right where we left off last week. They blinked out of existence. They blinked back into existence. In where, Justin? Where do they blink to?
So they are, I guess this kind of like sort of mountain that is above the Aiel, the only Aiel city of Rhuidean that really, Rhuidean, however you want to pronounce it. I've heard it pronounced several ways. It is a city, if you like, it's almost like a dead city because people don't live there. It's in this kind of giant bowl of a valley, and it is covered in fog, 365, 24/7. It never goes away. I think it has something to do with the power. The fact that the fog is there, I think it has something to do with the Aes Sedai kind of put a Pata type hex on it to kind of hide it and keep it, because there are still, at one point you find out kind of like there was I don't know if it was a stronghold of the Aes Sedai or if it was just a major city. I think it was a place where kind of like, I think they had more than one kind of, and I could be totally wrong about this. I wish Jeremy was here because he'd be like, "You're stupid, fatty. You're so
Stupid.
dumb." I feel like, they definitely had kind of like the main White Tower type place, which was, I'm drawing a blank on the name right now, but you'll learn it later, so it's fine. But I think this place was either a place of study or another place that they were maybe kind of trying to make a sort of stronghold for people who could channel. And there was a lot of Tur-Angriel, Sa-Angriel, and Angriel there, and a pretty large concentration of Aes Sedai. And once we start in the next, I don't know, couple of chapters, we start getting into Rand's memories. Those are going to be some serious breakdowns because you're seeing that Rand's memories from the
Rand's memories.
But they are his ancestors. They are his ancestors'
Right.
memories. So, but it goes all the way back to the breaking, more or less, and then within like 30 years after the breaking, and you get to see what Rand's family did and his relationship to the Aes Sedai and stuff, and that's really important. So upon leaving, I don't know if it's ever explained. I'll have to like look that up. Why Rhuidean is shrouded in fog all the time, and it's a source of kind of like mystique. Go to the scary haunted house and now you're a man, if you're breaking it down to the most simple thing, right? Clan chiefs have to go in once and they're marked with a dragon on the forearm. Only Rand, who he will be marked with dragons on both forearms, supposedly because he's the Karakarn, or who he comes with the dawn. Women who go there, they have to go there once. Sort of, it's very similar to like an accepted test.
Yeah.
You go in once and that's your first test. And then you start, then if you come back from that, then you start your apprenticeship with the wise ones. And then when they think if you come back alive, and that's the thing. Same thing with clan chiefs. They, it's not uncommon for them to just die or, kill themselves or never come back because they can't handle the true history of the Aiel. But then if you do come back, then you study with the wise ones. And when they decide, you're ready to become an Aes Sedai / wise one, then you have to go back.
Okay.
And I believe that Avienda, I think she goes for a third time. And that's when she starts to see the future of her people. Maybe it's the second time. It's been a while since I read that book, but I think it's the third time. And Rand only goes once. But he learns the past of the Aiel too. And all those things are crazy important. And in the next couple of chapters, we're going to be really getting into that shit.
So this whole thing takes a while.
Oh, it's called Cheandar. That whole answer was they arrived at a place called Cheandar, which is above the valley where Rhuidean lies. So,
just in case, do you have a clip you were going to play today?
You don't have
to,
two short ones. I have
do
two
we
short
want to
ones.
do it sooner?
One,
I don't, but I just wondering if you want to do it sooner or later.
Let's see. Let me look at my notes real quick. The Holy City in the Waste. You see how much this drained Rand. He's on his knees. Moraine kind of gives him a fatigue cleansing, and she says that
she gets all mad about.
Yeah, she says that she can't cleanse him of his fatigue wholly because of some of it comes from him channeling like overexerting himself with the power, basically.
Right.
But then she says, well, I'm going to leave, it serves you right. I'm going to leave that. So we don't know if she's telling the truth or not. And he gets, like you said, he gets very butthurt about her like touching him without permission. He's like, hey, ask before you use the power on me. And you're starting to see his, I don't want to say paranoia, but he's definitely wary of women you could channel, because you get around too many of them and they can cut you off forever, as far as he knows.
And through this whole thing, of course, everyone's in the back bitching about men and women. Boys are so
yeah, there's definitely a lot of, women are from Mars, men are from Venus type of thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I got it backwards, but
yeah, who knows? We don't know where men are from in Wheel of Time.
yeah, they're from Shadar Logoth, probably, because they're evil. One more thing about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah. So it Jessa was talking about, a bunch of people are going to go to the rings or whatever they want to call it, but it takes a while. It all happens in phases, because it starts with, they just poof are in existence, and a couple of different Aiel clans start to close in on them to attack the strangers, but they're traveling with other Aiel, so they're able to at least calm down an immediate war. And then it's pretty quickly decided that Rand has to go, and then Matt tags along through much chagraining.
Right. And that's where my my clip kind of goes, and I'm just going to cover a few things before then.
Okay.
So first of all, you see Rand. First of all, he kind of fulfills a prophecy. He is branded kind of by the fat man Angriel that he has in his hand, sort of like the herons. So that's another kind of like prophecy that he like fulfills kind of like accidentally. Like you said, he shows up. The Aiel have their buttholes puckered. There's obvious tension. What is it? Bale or Ruark, one of them talks to somebody, and you can tell there's tension, but they're professional about it, if you will. And then you have Couladin, who's waiting for his brother to return from Rhuidean, who never comes back, basically, because of the exact reason they were talking about. He could not handle, and Couladin is obviously you're getting a vibe from the Shido that they're the the hyperactive ADHD drunken cousin of the family. They're like, they always say the wrong thing. They act up when they shouldn't. They stretch the limits of their Jito to the max. And he obviously gets kind of like chastised and shut down a little bit, and he's not super happy about it.
Did we ever get clarity in the show about the note Lan finds in Moraine's belongings?
About Lanfear?
Oh, was that about Lan? That wasn't this, because I was going to ask you about the note.
It was a prophecy about Lanfear, and it goes back to the blood calls blood prophecy in book 2, where they were like painted Fane, like wrote it on the wall, and like,
right.
So that's kind of like the show's version of that, if you will.
But is that what this note is? Because I was just looking at the cliff notes, and I forgot about. This tells Egwene that the letter Moraine received from the Wise One specified that she would arrive today.
No, she's just like, Moraine being an Aes Sedai, thinking that she kind of, I obviously know as much as anybody could know about the power, right? Their letters are specific enough to where she's like, I should listen, but they're vague enough to where she's kind of like, it's kind of like you call a psychic line, Miss Cleo, call me now for your free reading.
Yeah.
They'll be very vague, and some of that stuff will hit home with you, and it may not be that's like real clairvoyance. She's kind of like, what is this? What do you mean? I might have came today. And that's actually really important. And we will get to that a little bit later. Okay. Like I said, you see the tensions, Couladin, and that guy's going to be a fucking problem, obviously. But the Aiel, like part of that note was the Aiel were waiting there for Rand. They don't just hang out above Rhuidean all the time. One clan will go if they have to choose a new chief or a new wise one that's when people are there. They won't have like several clans there at once. Like that's a recipe for disaster, right? It's
Okay,
like
so they weren't responding to them coming out of the stone. They were waiting.
no, they were kind of like they had been told to be there and they were still kind of like not knowing why. And then when a bunch of people showed up, that's just kind of what Aiel do is like.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Like I said, nobody Rand starts to ask, like you said, he does this thing where he asks to go to Rhuidean and he states that his mom was Aiel and they correct him and let him know that his mother was not actually Aiel. And I forget that they don't really cover this in the show yet. So this is probably new for you. What did you think of that?
Can they cover? Are you sure they didn't flip it in the show? Because we've already seen his Aiel mom.
No, his mom becomes Aiel, basically. Like I said, finish what you're saying, and I'll
that was pretty much it. I was going to ask if we're being misled.
Yes and no, right?
Okay.
They're like, oh, his mom's Aiel. Technically, she's Aiel. She's not. He's like, you know how
if your dad's Aiel, you're Aiel.
So here's the thing. So Judaism is a race and a religion, or Hebrew. I'm not. Please don't don't kill me. That's a terrible. I'm so sorry for what I just said. Jesus, oh my God, just stop talking. Oh my God, stop talking. Blah, blah, blah. Relax. What I'm saying is that I know I could be getting it wrong of Judaism or Hebrew. It's like it is a race and a religion of people, right? Okay. So Aiel can kind of be both. Generally, you're born into it. But if they accept you, and it's very, very rare, you can become Aiel. They found Rand's mom, who had left the known world, Caemlyn, Caemlyn or Karen. She's part of the Caemlyn's Andor's like royal line. But she is attached to the Karheen royal line because of who she married. So she leaves because she doesn't like her husband, and the Aiel find her almost dead in the waste. Bring her back to health. She ends up becoming a maiden, but she's not Aiel by birth.
So, all right, this is all gonna kind of tie together. It's so I still can't believe that the breaking happened 1,000 years ago. Let's just call it 1,000 years ago. Is that fair? Do we know?
Like 3,000, I think.
So the breaking happened 3,000 years ago, and no one knows shit about shit until now that Rand is finally taking it upon himself to travel to different places and teach people about snow. But I was going to say this even before the Rand mom thing came up. The Aiel seem to be traveling a lot, and the Aes Sedai are nosy ass motherfuckers. So it's just getting harder and harder to believe that nobody knows shit about nobody. And if Rand's mom now, because I was thinking, oh, that would make sense before the breaking that Rand's mom became an Aiel, but this was 2,980 years after the breaking, and his mom is wandering
20
around.
Years ago. Just 20 years ago.
So I don't know. I'm bitching just to bitch because I'm coming into these books late. I'm not getting swept up in the majesty and leaving my magic at home. I'm here breaking this book down for the first time in real time, and it's just another thing that makes it hard to believe that after 3,000 years, Ogier didn't travel somewhere and then come back and tell someone about it. An Aiel didn't travel somewhere and then come back and tell someone about it. And Aes Sedai didn't travel somewhere. There's fucking pirates traveling the globe, and they're not saying anything to anybody about what they saw on the other side. I don't know. There we go. That's my rant.
By the other side, what do you mean?
Just all over. I know this isn't a globe. I know we're technically, I don't think that this planet that we're dealing with, but whatever space they're taking up, people are sailing to every port and seeing different people live different ways, and seeing snow and
Very small
seeing,
percentage, right?
but 3,000 years, like these stories. I mean, I guess they just become fairy
Okay,
tales.
think about the amount of like intermingling you have seen between nations, if you will, right? They don't think there's snow. You know what I'm saying? Like those kind of things. People stay within 10 miles of their home their entire life. It's only just gotten now to the fact where people will, gleam and travel. It's like when like the people who are the most crazy and exciting in this world is a gleeman who's like been to Canada. Like
Again,
you live
but
in Texas, and a gleeman who's been to Canada tells you stories about the polar bears. You're
but
like,
you
what?
know
That's
he's
crazy.
but you know he's been there and he's seen it, and like you would like. But here's the thing that makes me realize that I'm full of shit. We thought sushi was fake until 1980. We didn't
We
think
burned
anybody
women at the stake because we thought they were witches, Desmond,
less than
because they were
100 years
good at
ago.
gardening.
Okay, I take it all back. We're before
Okay,
the inter
I'm just
before
saying.
the
I'm just saying before the internet, and I'm not saying that the internet like is the greatest thing in the world, but at least you have access to questions, and many of the questions that you will ask about this world and this life can be pretty factually answered
from
for the
someone
most
that's
part.
there, not just guessed at by your uncle.
Right? I'm like, well, I think the moon is made of pudding. Okay, well, we should probably take that as fact. It's like, no, of course not. But like, that's the kind of stuff that I think would probably kind of go on in this world. A lot of people can't read. Like I said, they don't think snow exists. They think Trollocs are just a boogeyman story from like basically like us having a boogeyman in the closet. It's like this. That's what a lot of people in this world think Trollocs are, because it's been so long since they've had to deal with that kind of shit.
In my lifetime, people, the NFL had to have a conversation about whether or not a redhead could lead a team from quarterback. That was something that was actually concerning to some people.
What?
I
I don't know.
remember the
That's
well, I just
probably the
remember
Raiders, though. I'm sure.
I just remember the first time there was a star redheaded quarterback. Everyone was like, "Huh, well, we'll see how this goes." It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Same thing as the first time there was a star black quarterback, and then they won a Super Bowl, and everybody lost their mind. It's like, really, dude? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
all I have to say is, that's a very deep sigh.
Jeez. And again, in our lifetime, that's something that, like, if your great grandpa told you, you'd be like, yeah, well, we had to get over some hurdles. It's part of the healing process. In
Let's
my
say
lifetime.
if you're like between 10 and 25, go look up a show. It's called All in the Family. And you probably won't get more racist jokes in a 30-minute period. Certainly not on a sitcom on nationally televised, syndicated television.
But what makes that show great is they were actually putting black people on it. They were actually putting gay people on it. They were actually putting women of power. They were making jokes about it, but those people at least existed in this world.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the irony. It's like it's ahead of its time, but also like you got to look into it to really see how great and terrible it was at the same time. You're pushing boundaries, and I get it, but also like
making jokes to keep them down. Yeah. It's like if we're all in on the joke, it's all good, right? No.
no,
You're still
nope.
belittling people who matter.
Nope, absolutely not. Nope. But all right, I guess at this point we should probably get into our clip because it's 45 minutes in. So 18 minute 18 on Out of the Stone, or Beyond the Stone, excuse me.
He said slowly, "Your father." Egwene shook her head. This approached madness. Rand opened his mouth, but Amis did not let him speak. Siana, How do you say? Yes, the woman with gray streaked hair said. Melaine, the last of the four, a handsome woman with golden red hair, no more than 10 or
Yeah,
15 years
obviously.
older than Egwene, hesitated. It must be done, she said finally, and unwillingly. I answer yes. You have been answered, Amis told Rand. You may go into Rhuidean and... She cut off as Matt scrambled up to copy Rand's bow awkwardly. I also ask to enter Rhuidean, he said shakily. The
That's a
four
problem.
wise ones stared at him. Rand's head whipped around in surprise. Egwene thought no one could be more shocked than she was, but Couladin proved her wrong. Lifting one of his spears with a snarl, he stabbed at Matt's chest. The glow of Saidar surrounded Amis and Melaine, and flows of air lifted the fiery-haired man and flung him back a dozen paces. Egwene stared, wide-eyed. They could channel. At least two of them could. Suddenly, Amis's youthfully smooth features beneath that white hair leaped out at her for what they were. Something very close to Aes Sedai agelessness. Moiraine was absolutely still. Egwene could almost hear her thoughts buzzing, though. This was plainly as much of a surprise to the Aes Sedai as to herself. Couladin scrambled to his feet in a crouch. You accept this outlander as one of us, he rasped.
Outlander!
And with the spear he had attempted to use on Matt. If you say it, then so be it. He is still a soft wetlander, and Rhuidean will kill him. The spear swung to Matt, who was trying to slip a knife back up his sleeve without being noticed. But it is death for him to be here, and sacrilege for him to even ask to enter Rhuidean. None but those of the blood may enter. None. Go back to your tents, Couladin, Melaine said coldly. And you, Hirn. And you as well, Ruark. This is business of wise ones, and none of men, save those who have asked. Go. Ruark and Hirn nodded and walked away toward the smaller set of tents, talking together. Couladin glared at Rand and Matt and at the wise ones before jerking around and stalking off toward the larger camp. The wise ones exchanged
So, like you said, this motherfucker is gonna be a problem, right? Couladin is not happy with how things are going. He literally, so where they're at is like it's the piece of Rhuidean. Like you don't fight there. Like it is like it's like church, man. Like you don't play. Like you don't fight here. Like you take your beef elsewhere. And for him to, even someone who is there as a visitor who may not even be necessarily welcome, like Matt, is not to be attacked. And so they were really not happy with him about that.
Ooh.
Even though he was kind of conceding about, he's like, well, okay, fine. Rand is of the blood. And this is right after, like I said, they're explaining to Rand that, yeah, your mother was a maiden, but, she wasn't born in the way. She wasn't born Aiel. She was this person from this land. I don't even think they get into it right here, but you eventually learn who she was and who she is. And his father was an Aiel clan chief. They were never married because she was a maiden and she obviously died. Usually when maidens get pregnant, they either, take that maternity leave or they choose to give up the steer and get married. Either way, they're usually not fighting until they're, like we saw on the show, right? She's obviously like fucking about to pop. She's 9 months pregnant. She's still fighting. But it's also because of what was going on at that time. It was like a major insult to the Aiel, and they all fought. And her husband, who was a clan chief, I don't know if he got killed then. I think he might have gotten killed during the Aiel War. I'll have to look that up. But she's fighting during the Aiel War, and that's when Tam and her come across each other.
Okay.
Like, what we see in the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the wise ones, even in spite of themselves, they're kind of impressed that Rand kind of goes with the old, he goes with like an old school way of kind of asking them. They're kind of like, well, obviously he cared enough about our history to learn this, even though it's kind of wrong for what we do now, like respect. Matt's is definitely kind of haphazard and, probably a little more disrespectful, but also, you can see he's desperate. Like he comes through, you can see how desperate he is. He's like, I have to go or I will die.
Sorry, just taking some notes here, some questions I want to remember to ask. We're jumping ahead a little bit in this chapter, but who's all going to Rhuidean? Or no,
Right now?
are we yeah, so there's Rand
Like,
and
or
Matt.
in general. So Rand and Matt go, Avi
First.
goes, and Moraine goes all at the same time.
Okay, Avi but not at the same time. That's what I was saying earlier. Like it kind of happens in chunks. Like
I mean, more or less. I mean, it's within it. They're staggered, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, I think they catch up to each other. Oh, wait a minute. Rand, Matt, Avienda, Moraine. Isn't there a fifth?
So Rand and Matt go first.
Yeah.
And then Moraine starts, and then Avi goes last. And even I think you'll see coming up in the next, maybe in the next chapter, or maybe a couple of chapters down the line, Matt's like, I swear I just saw a naked woman. And it's Avi going naked to. I think even my.
And are they going to different places? Because the women have to go through one set, and the men have to go through another set, right?
You know what? I'd have to look that up. I think they're all going to this like kind of like main square. So I think they're all going basically to the same place, more or less.
And we didn't know all of these people wanted to go to Rhuidean when we got to Stoke. We knew Matt needed to get to Rhuidean.
Some of them
no. We knew
we
knew Rand. We knew Rand was going to Rhuidean. We didn't know Matt was gonna piggyback. We didn't know Moraine.
Well, we kind of knew because when Matt went through the doorway, they're like, well, when Matt goes through the doorway, they're like, you have to go to Rhuidean, gambler. Go, you'll die. Right. So, and we don't know what context that even means, right? Oh, I'm just supposed to show up in the city and I can go get a couple of drinks at a tavern.
Or maybe I just have to escort Rand, make sure Rand makes it, something like that.
Which more or less that's what he does. And then, Matt's, curiosity killed the cat. His better nature gets the best of him, and that's where he gets into shit. I can't wait for that chapter. That's going to be fun.
So Moraine doesn't have to strip, though, because she's not Aiel, right? Like, she's not going to be Aiel.
She just does. She just like, well, I assume I have to go, like Avienda did. I guess Avienda does go first. She strips down and goes first.
Oh, Moraine does strip.
Yeah. She goes, well, I assume I have to go like Avienda did, with nothing, right?
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So you get a lot of Aiel history in this, and like the rest of this chapter is kind of like it's Aiel history. It's the introduction to Egwene. We met Amiss a few episodes ago when her and Egwene come across each other in the world of dreams, and she's like, "You need to come to the Waste," And so they're finally meeting in person for the first time. They start talking about how they're going to train her, blah 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 blah. And like one of the things that it's really glossed over actually is that Egwene is masquerading. I mean, she doesn't say it out loud, and Moraine also doesn't disabuse anybody of the notion, is that they start calling her Aes Sedai, and she's not, obviously.
Oh, right. That's right. She's just like, yep, that's right.
Yeah, and so that becomes a big thing. And then you start getting a little bit into this chapter really fucking like shifts gears because you get Rand's everything, and then everybody takes off to Rhuidean, and then they start talking about dreaming to Egwene, and Egwene starts, you see how astute Egwene is right away, right? She starts asking questions that like aren't just like, what is this? What do I learn? How does this happen? She starts getting in deeper immediately in some of the stuff that they say. Amiss mentions that Lan may not have come with Moraine.
Oh,
like
right.
In her vision, she was like, she lets her know. I think maybe even Moraine brings it up. She's like, well, you said if Lan comes with me, then you succeed. And I'm like, if you didn't come, he would die, or like, all the possibilities of what they saw, right?
Yeah.
And so they don't really touch on it too much, but it's like, okay, if Lan doesn't come with Moraine, where would he go? He'd be going with me, right?
I like the thing where they start to tell Moraine a bunch of stuff, and then they stop telling her because
they cut off me. They're like, stop. Like she needs to decide on her own.
Well, no, that's some time travel shit. Like if you go back in time and tell people what they're going to do, they might not do it. Like so you saw so Doctor Strange, you saw 10,368 versions of this. Is this the one we win?
1.
If I tell you, it won't
No.
be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. If you're a time travel nerd, nothing gets you more hard on than that sentence right there.
Oh, boing. What do we need? What do we need?
But
Time travel. When do we need it? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't fucking matter. So obviously, if Lan didn't go with Moraine, it wouldn't have been because he disagreed with her. It would have been because he decided he loved Nynaeve too much, and he would have had to go with her, which also would change everything, right? And
Yeah.
you'll see why coming up over the next book and a half. Let's see. We're getting towards the end here. You do see all of a sudden, first of all,
real quick. I just want to make a comment about Egwene claiming Aes Sedai or not saying Aes Sedai.
She doesn't claim it or not claim it. They just say it, and she doesn't be like, "Oh no, I'm just an accepted." You know.
I'm just saying, if I can force push, I'm a Jedi, and no one's going to tell me different. Egwene can fuck shit up. She's Aes Sedai. I'm all in.
Well, I'm glad you bring up Jedi, actually, because that's something I was literally just about to say. Egwene's like, oh God, the wise ones can channel when they stop Cooladin from attacking Matt, right? I kind of skipped over that because I'm fucking stoned and a little bit drunk. That's a big thing. Same with the Windvisors. If you remember a couple of chapters ago.
Yeah.
Elaine and Nynaeve separately find out not only can they channel, they're very strong in the power, at least some of them. And not only are they strong in the power, even the ones that aren't as strong, like overall in the power, like I can just channel a lot, and I'm not super fine-tuned with what I can do, but the amount of power I can wield is crazy.
Yeah.
And then there's other people maybe not sort of strong, but they're like really I don't know what you would say, like really skilled in certain things, right? Totally. They realize like, oh God, they can, they're really strong, they can channel, they can do stuff. And then she realized that Avienda's crazy strong in the power, like as strong as Nynaeve or stronger. Yeah. And Egwene's very strong herself. And she starts, like, this is where she figures out she can, like, when she feels a kinship with a woman, she knows, oh, that means they can channel or they can learn. And then she can kind of like feel them out and see how strong they are. Yeah. So Aes Sedai are Jedi, though, because that's why the Sea Folk and the Aiel, anyone who can channel that's not Aes Sedai, get a little freaked out around Aes Sedai because they're like the Jedi. They're like, oh, you can channel? You're going to come to the tower.
We own you now.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to steal your children.
Daddy?
You're going to go with these nice clerics
did he kill
that do magic.
Did he just kill all those kids?
Yes.
Real quick, before we wrap up, tell me what you know about Gaishan and J2.
Okay. So think of it as like just taking a captive in battle, but very honorably. Like as an Aiel, if you're taken captive in battle and you are taking Gaishan, you serve out your year and a day of like service. Think of it as community service. Like you got caught up,
So the Aiel to kill someone is not very honorable because they're like a child can kill somebody, but to get someone to realize that you could kill them and then take so this Gaishan and J2, that's only between Aiel tribes. Like they wouldn't take a non-Aiel wouldn't subject themselves to Gaishan, right?
Well, that's a really good question because most of the time you would think that most that's the thing. Aiel accept Gaishan. They're like, I've been taking Gaishan. It's a year. I got to do my shit and I can go back to my life. And they're treated well. It's not like they're mistreated. The Shido, Cooladin's clan, right?
Oh,
they start to bend/break rules of Jito by taking like what they call wetlanders, which are non-Aiel Gaishan, which in that case they are mistreated and they're basically, for lack of a better term, is a slave. Gaishan is more of an indentured servitude, but you are treated really respectfully and well.
Did you hear them? Did you hear them? Yeah, and did you hear? I loved how they like basically complained about the new breed of Gen X Gaishan. The ones
that are
that
like, dude, they're extra like
oh yes,
subservient.
let me get your water. Here, I brought you. Ooh, I even put ice in it because I'm such a good guy,
Would you
Shan.
like a cucumber slice? Yeah, no, totally. And it's like it becomes like it's actually, dude, that's, you know what? Good call, because I didn't think of anything like that. And that's a really good, I mean, you know, if you're being a fucking boomerish dick, yeah, but like that's a really good comparison.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's like this new kind of like fangled attitude with the younger warriors that like we're gonna be extra lame. You know, it's like,
if you were 45 in 1995, this is exactly. Oh, you're gonna get a $5 coffee. Okay.
if you just stop eating avocado toast, you'll be fine. No, that is not breaking or making fucking anyone. Let me just tell you. You know what's a killer? Paying for health insurance, car insurance, fucking taxes on the things that I already own, the money that I make. All those things are bullshit.
$1 million for a college education.
Good times that won't even get you a job. Good times.
I know.
I get paid more than a lot of college graduates. Like,
we had to have that conversation with our son who's in college right now. It's just like,
but why? I don't know, man.
Like going to college is fine. If you have a great job that doesn't need a college education, go get it. But don't worry about getting a degree in the exact thing you're going to go on to do. Nobody does what they have a degree for.
1000%. I had a couple other stupid clips, but they're not really that important. It's just kind of what we already talked about. The Aiel kind of like letting slip to Moraine, like, well, you're gonna have to go to Rhuidean or die, and they're like, what? You're rooting it.
And we kind of mentioned this before. We kind of mentioned this before, but just to put a nail in that coffin here at the end of this conversation, no one's assured they're coming back from this journey. This is especially if you're just Matt. Like they're really just like, okay, buddy.
And the fact how Matt is so ridiculously armed, he's just like, oh, I forgot about those ones. My bad. Great. I had a couple guns in the base of my back. Shit. That's about all I got, dude. I think for this episode, like I said, at the end, you get a lot of exposition about the world of dreams. And, you know, that last like 15, 20 minutes, it tells you a lot about the world of dreams. Kind of, it's, you know, an Aes Sedai foretelling, the world of dreams, the worlds that they went in with the portal stones, they're all kind of connected in a fucked up way, but also not in a reliable way. Does that make sense? It's the way they're connected is a very unreliable narrator. They never really like clarify like, how's this connected? How's this connected? Well, they're like reflections of each other. Blah, 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 blah. Some are more accurate than others, and some are like vastly different than what's, you know, real or whatever.
Let me see. You got any good stories?
I do have a quick one. Just a testament to how much I love my wife. And, you know, like my coworkers, I've only been there for a few months, but I work with a gal named Paige and a gal named Tabitha, who's Paige is more my daughter's age and Tabitha's more my age. I obviously talk about, you know, you got to spend 8 hours with people, right? And they know that I love my wife. And this lady, I talked about her, how she brought in the squirrel, the lady who brought in the squirrel.
Yes.
And was kind of like, I was like, hey, what's your number? You know, like to get the rewards program. She's like, it's about time. I laughed it off, whatever. I haven't waited on her since. And I was kind of like, that's weird. And I know she comes in like all the time. And I'm like, whatever. I don't care. I'm busy all the time. So I'm like, whatever. Maybe I missed her on break. Whatever. I could care less, honestly.
But you get used to seeing the same people. And after a while, you're
right.
Like,
but then when you see her, like, well, you were kind of hitting on me and now you don't want to talk to me. That's interesting. I found out why. Because my little sister and my big sister at work, who are really good. They're good folks. She came and was like, what's up with the new guy from Seattle? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, he's very married and very happily, and you should just leave the motherfucker alone. And like, she came in one day, and I was like, is that the one lady with the squirrel, right? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, she don't even like come to me anymore. I don't think she likes me. They're like, oh, she likes you. Oh, she likes you. And you need to fucking not ask her about her squirrel anymore, first of all. And I was like, I was just, I thought it was, I love animals, you know, like, I don't know. And Tabitha's like, oh, she's like, oh, she's into you. She was asking about you. Tabitha's like, she didn't ask about him. She was like, she wants to fuck him. or she said, it wasn't that graphic, but it was like, I'll try to see what's up with that dude or something, you know, like that, whatever.
Yeah.
And they were both like, you can get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God.
You need to get off my big brother and leave him alone.
You
They've
can
met
either...
Lisa, she's come in and they're like, you know, Paige is just, she's real cutie. She's a little lesbian. She's like, your wife's so pretty. I can't even make eye contact with her. So I was just like, it's cute that they pick up on how much I love my wife. And they're like, you just don't talk to that lady about her squirrel anymore. We told her to leave you the fuck alone.
And everybody, I'm here to admit, when we first met Lisa, we all met Lisa at the same time. I had a huge crush on her too, because she is a gorgeous, hilarious, awesome woman.
You, Tony, Jake, Osiris, half the other friend. She's always like, why? Like, I've introduced her to a few people in the last couple of years. Like one of my friends, Juby, who's actually dead, he came over a few times. She's like, why do your friends always act so weird around me? And I'm like, because you're hot and they don't know how to act around girls like you that they know that they're not supposed to try to fuck.
And especially when we knew her before Fatty dated her. So we were allowed to have
I had bad thoughts about her before it was my homeboy's girl. And so now I don't know what to do with myself. Sometimes I still think about them titties.
I won't get into that, but
I get it. I'm okay with it. I love her that she's hot.
Oh, Justin was there, awesome. Everybody. So Justin knows the story. I'm just not going to tell it here. But...
Well, you're bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Julie still mad?
Julie?
Julie was mad at Andy because he kept like looking up her skirt. And I think he like told her about it or something. I don't know. We had another function and he was like, dude. I think he told me about at the wedding. He was like, dude, I was good.
Well, knowing Andy, he probably didn't even get it until 45 minutes in that was your wife.
Out of your sister, so he was just like, I looked at her panties. And Julie's like, excuse me, motherfucker, I'll kill that bitch.
Because Lisa just showed up and Andy's like, cool, the stripper's here. And Jess is like, no,
that's just the hot bartender who is also my fiance. Yeah. Everyone needs to calm down. You and I were like, look, if you fucking get a stripper at my bachelor party, I'm leaving. You guys can have a great time. I was like that, and you were like that, and you were kind of in charge of mine, and I was kind of in charge of yours. I was like, none of that shit. Because Tony tried hard.
And Justin and I, we were both each other's best man, and neither one of us threw the party. I think Johnny took charge of my party, and Mark.
Trust me, but I kept the reins on that motherfucker.
Oh yeah, Johnny
was like, okay, we're gonna need at least an 8-ball.
How much cocaine are we gonna?
I'm like, Johnny, no, we're gonna be low key, buddy, low key. It's gonna be at your house. We're gonna play cards.
And don't worry about it, people. I got Sharpied, so it's all good.
Oh, did you ever? You had more dicks on you than a fucking.
Let me tell you guys. Let me tell you guys how to get Sharpie off your face. Sleep the entire following day with the worst beer sweats, alcohol sweats you've ever had, and then wake up the next morning and that shit just falls off. That sweat just pushes it right.
It just comes right off. A little warm water.
I use just the lightest bit of soap. That shit just fell off me like it was magic marker, man.
And Des, you know me, I've never been the biggest sleeper. If let's say if we were in like a village back in the day and I was like the lookout, we would never get attacked.
No,
never.
No. Wolf brother, baby. Wolf brother.
I mean, I have to get fucking trash to sleep for more than 4 hours, dude.
Oh Jesus.
It's horrible. I want to sleep in. Like even Lisa's like, like we could not be fighting. There could be nothing going on. And she's like, do you have to get up at 7:30 on your day off? I'm like, oh, you think I fucking want to? If I had a magic bullet that would put me to sleep for 8 hours every fucking day, like that. What's that movie? Happy Death Day. Sweet, I'll wake up tomorrow. Like I can't fucking sleep at all, bro. Like I have to take edibles, drink. Like it's rough, man.
I'm sorry, because sleep is my superpower. Like that's the reason I haven't killed my kids is fucking full
and
night's
it's
sleep
funny that
and naps.
And when we're fighting though, I will go lay down. I will sleep, but I won't like sleep. But that's kind of like a coping mechanism. But like I don't like sleep, dude. Like I don't sleep. Like if I sleep for more than 4 hours, I wake up and go, what
did I miss?
I feel like I've been in like cryo sleep or something. I don't. It's weird, dude.
Why am I in? Where am I in? Why am I in this bantha tank?
REM sleep. What is that?
What? So next week, people, we're going to be talking about, I think next chapter is probably going to be a thick one too. So even though it's kind of short, we might want to.
I think the next like 3 or 4, we should probably just do one per chapter. I mean, like if we can cram 2 together, because like sometimes Robert Jordan will do that like halfway through. He'll be like, oh, and we'll continue what's happening right now in the next chapter because they'll change point of views or something will change. But I think like these ones are important, man.
We'll definitely do 24. Jess and I might decide to add 25 to it, but I think 25 is a little bit longer, and then 26 is very long. So I think just one a week will give us plenty to chew on.
And until he finishes with Rhuidean and they leave there, it's probably going to be one a week because I mean he's in Rhuidean. You get his stuff, you get Matt's stuff. I don't think you get to know what happens with really Moraine or Abby. I can't remember. Like honestly, these books are running together so much, breaking them down so much is making them really run together. So I'm kind of almost in it brand new like you. It's like, oh fuck, like like shit will happen. I'll be like, oh fuck, that's right, Like I said, I was on the wrong chapter day for 15 minutes, and I was just like, oh man, and I'm like, oh wait, no, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing.
So everyone out there, please send your questions and comments and thoughts to thankthelight@gmail.com. That is thankthelight@gmail.com, or join us here on YouTube, 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, Tuesday. Be here or be not there.
Show up this winter for fireside chats. Bongheads, Bourbon, Desmond, Fatty.
We'd love to talk. You can send us emails, but we would love to answer your questions just live and in person right here. We will throw the next chapter in the trash just to discuss what you want to discuss, but you got to show up.
Absolutely. And I know, man, Des, I'll try to look for some news if there's anything worth doing an episode on coming up, because I know we're getting closer to release. They said it's going to come earlier. Does that mean it's 2 weeks earlier or March? If it's March, we should probably start looking into it, but they seem to be pretty cryptic about they're giving us information, but nothing too specific about the next season. So
yeah, I think we'll get, once we get fully out of the Ring of Power on Prime, hopefully they'll be like, okay, let's start talking about our other fantasy property.
I wish they'd promote it a little bit. It'd be nice. So whatever.
That would be nice.
I'm going to spoon feed you the rest of this story so that we can talk about it for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
You're like,
put your dagger in the horn box.
Oh, may you always find water and shade, nerds, and have a happy holiday, however you celebrate it with your people.
Eat, drive fast and take risks, and leave your laptop open for 15 minutes.
Count on it, brother. Also, fuck Professor Snape. I know that it was all part of the grand plan, but he's an asshole. That's all I'm saying. Asshole. So,
yeah.
All right, man. I'll see you later, brother.
Love you. Happy holidays.
Yep.